again the MMPH 004. Today we have to discuss about the block number 4, that is the unit number 13 and 14. That is the industrial and employment relations. So there are two units. Unit number 13, that is your grievance handling, and unit number 14 is your discipline in organizations. There are two units. So first we try to, what are the contents of the particular units that we have to see. Some of the key areas are there. There is the introductions definitely. Then reason for the grievances, why the grievances are there, that we have to explore. Then discovery of the grievances, and when is a complaint is not a grievance. There are two things. You have to see what the differences. Then different classification of the grievances, and then dissatisfactions. Why the dissatisfaction are coming? Then complaint, grievances, and what are the causes of the grievances, reason behind it. Then after that, what are the procedure, grievances procedure, that also we have to see what are the rules or regulations. And as per the industrial relations, some code number is this, code is there, 2020. Then resolutions of the grievances and different approaches, and the formal, what are the mechanism for that, and what are the advantage if we have some different type of advantage mechanisms, and procedure for the handling the grievances. That is one of the major crucial matters. Then advantage of the good grievances procedure. If we have some good procedures, what will be the advantage? And what are the role of a HR, human resource department? What are the role to redress all the grievances? And handling, all these things. And what are the managing pitfalls, the type of problems that they see, and recommendation of the National Commission of the Labours. So that is content of the unit number 13. It is a little broad areas. And here actually I am trying to give you some of the major points. The grievances, it can be defined as the discontent or the dissatisfaction of the employees. Why the grievance? Basically it is a dissatisfaction of the employees. Actually it is unavoidable because human natures are different to different, so it will be there. Dissatisfaction, maybe there are so many reasons. So it can be real or imaginary. Sometimes because of the internal fear, it is not happening or not likely to be happening. Still, he is thinking it may be occurred with me. So this type of things are imaginary. Things are also there. Imaginary, then your legitimate or ridiculous state, different type of this. Some of the things are unvoiced, written or oral, different type of things are there in the grievances. So it must be, however, the expression of the sum of the form of the others. Discontent, actually the dissatisfaction in short, is not a grievance. It's not a grievance. The grievance can be either silent or expressed by the employee. Now you have to validation. You have to validate the things. This really the grievance are. It is a legitimate, or it is a true or untrue. It is a completely baseless or not. So all this part has to be judged. It must be something to do with the employment relationships, because the employment relationships depends on these matters. So this the discontent can be termed as the grievance, only it is connected with our organizational policies and practices affecting the employees in their workstations. Now, in the most of the cases, the grievances can be broadly in three types, because there are legitimate grievances, and this is the real grievance when there is a case, there is a cause of the belief, and that there has been some sort of violations. So contract violations, or maybe the rule are not maintaining, not obeying. So however, it has been observed that the clauses in a contract have different meanings for different people. So main things, what are the written in the contract, what are the meaning in the meanings, that is also to be considered, and during the policy itself you have to prepare accordingly. Now again, another thing is our imagined grievances. So as the name suggests, the employees believe that there has been a violation of some clause, or some of the management has not applied the clauses in the right manner. So the real cause of the grievance can be something very trivial, but is given great importance by the employee. So mostly it is due to some misunderstanding that such grievances occur. So imagine the grievances, there are some of the lot of loopholes are there. Loopholes in the means thinking, thought process, or maybe the misunderstanding, miscommunications, not understand the the contract. So lot of factors are there. Then political grievances. These grievances are very difficult to solve because where the political involvement is there. Mostly these grievances are connected with the unions, because sometimes in between the unions are coming, they are saying something, they are taking some stands based on because of their power. So at the time the union may keep hampering about times of the union may keep about grievances in the merit as to get a good standing with the members. And this definitely will hamper the things. Now, what are the reasons behind it? What are the reasons of the grievances? That you have to see. So, in a service industry, a manager cannot afford to assign a frontline jobs to an employee who hold the grievances against the organizations, because once they have already in their mindset some of the grievances they have already put up. So definitely it is very difficult to handle them. So you can well imagine the result, what will be able, because maybe the slowdown, they are reluctant to do the works, a lot of factors are coming. Suppose if the two escorts or a hotel receptionist, suppose for example, in a unsatisfied employee, so that case definitely it will be effect. So for a successful manager, so it is essential not to understand why a grievance has occurred. Grievances may occur for a variety of reasons. One of these economic, because some of the times wage the computations is not correct, maybe some amalgamations, some of the different discrepancies are there within the employees, same level, same scales, pay scales, increment, a lot of things are involved in these packages. So because of that sometimes the grievance can come. Overtime issues are there, bonus, then your some of the commissions or your production linking incentives, there some of the things are there. Employees feel they are neglected. I mean, in the case they are not getting the less what they actually want to get. So another is your work environment. Suppose the environment is not good, where the poor working conditions, grievance handling is a defective equipment. Suppose the worker, lathe machine operator, some operators, the machine is old one, it is not updated. So maybe yes, always is repairing and doing the job, repairing and doing the job. Maybe yes, the frustration has come like this way, based on this, yes, handling the defective equipments. So the machineries, because of that, sometimes the yes, giving some complaint, or that complaint in terms will be grievances. Tools, materials, raw materials not good, how I can give the good quality work, that type of controversy is always there. Another reason is supervisions. Disposition of the boss towards the employee, because they are not connected or maybe not interacted properly, and supersive notions of the some of the times the favoritisms or the nepotisms, biasing. This is because of they have observed the things from the management, from the supervisor, or from the bosses. So because of that also sometimes it is create a lot of complaints. Then work group. Strained relations, sometimes the relations are not good, some strained relations, always not communicated properly, argument, that is some incompatibility, means not a compatible conditions with the peers, feeling of the neglect, organizations, and sometimes victimizations is also there, and associations. So work organizations, if we consider the work organizations basically, is it an unfair rules, sometimes too much of work or too much of less work. So and responsibility also not giving in that way, or sometimes the over responsibility. So the lack of recognition, sometimes appreciation is very poor. So all these cases are sometimes giving a the reason of the grievances when we are talking about the work group conditions. The apparent causes or sources, we can say, the grievances may not always be the real ones. Sometimes it is not real sometimes. So there need of the deeper analysis is required. Deeper analysis is required of the policies, procedure, practices, and what are the structures and the personality dynamics in the organizations to arrive the real causes of the grievances. Suppose some grievances are occurred, or maybe as a complaint, as a written form it is coming. So as the HR personnel, he has to first things, you have to analyze things, why these reasons, why it has happened. It may be a policy is not correct, his peer relations may not be correct, or maybe there are some interactions with the bosses, interpersonal relationships, some other problems. So you have to explore, you have to survey the things where the pinpointing, you have to pinpointing the problems. So apparent causes accordingly based on these written forms, what are the things has produced, don't take the decisions. I mean, that's why the analysis is required, so that the reality has to be explored. So in the organization, to arrive the real causes of the grievances is a dynamic nature sometimes, or another part is the grievances they steamed for the management policies, because the practices, particularly when they lack consistency, uniformity, fair play, and the desired level of flexibility. So this is sometimes the reasons behind it. Grievances also may arise because of the intrapersonal problems or the individual employees. Sometimes individual employees and union practices aim to reinforcing and considering their your bargaining strength. So there are so many reasons are there. We are just discussing about the grievances, why it is occurring, the grievances, and different type of classifications are already we are now on the way. Now further, the absence of the poor two-way flow of the communications, it is a very major thing. It has happened sometimes, because once you have given instruction to workers or something, he may or may not be accepted, or he or may not be understand the things. So better you repeat the once to take a counter from reply of the acceptance. Really it is passed on, the message is conveyed or not. So we have to ensure the things, and that time you have to see his psychological things also. He has really accepted the things willingly or unwillingly or by the pressures. So that also you have to observe. So communication is indeed a fertile ground for the breeding of the your grievances. The grievances can have a several effects which are essentially adverse and the counter procedure to organizational purposes. The adverse effect include, suppose for the loss of interest of the work and the consequent lack of moral also, and the commitment, sometimes the commitment also, poor quality of work, and your increase of the wastage and cost, and finally the increase in the absenteeisms. So sometimes because of these absenteeisms, the grievances are like this. Why? Basically question is why the person is taking so much leaves, why he is absent, why is, so that has to be inquired, so that has to be analyzed the things then before going to any decisions. Now discovery of the your grievances. Some of the important way of the discovering the grievances are briefly outlined like some things. One is your direct observations. Through this way you can identify the things. The good manager must know how his or her subordinates behave in your ordinary circumstances, because daily they are interacting. If some unusual behavior are observed, so you have to be careful about it, why he is reacting and why he has not response are coming at par with the earlier things. So that time is the indication, this is the alarm stages. So when the significant changes in that behavior occur, so it is sure to affect the performance. If somebody's behavior pattern is changing, so definitely it will be affecting the performance also. Maybe all the time he is thinking all these things. His thought process has changed, his stress level will be changed, his way of behavior pattern will change. That changes has to be notified. Absenteeism, somebody is taking a long leave sometimes without any reasons. So that is your point. Lateness, they coming very late all the time, not in exactly, is not maintaining the consistency or the discipline in the timing or all these things. Timekeeper is as per the record he has seen, he is not coming in proper times. So some dissatisfactions, find the expressions. So a crucial analysis is of the grievances may required is see the rates and the accident rates and the request for the transfer sometimes. No sir, I am not willing to work here, please transfer me somewhere, or vice versa. So some indiscipline etc. may reveal, it is all these things are reveal the general patterns that that are not easily your discernibles. So in the first instance, so this is the point, we have to restrict all these things by the discussions, by the counseling, or by the HR, the role is coming in between. Now procedure, sometimes the procedure itself lot of problems are there. So let's see the procedure, what should be the procedure? The most important channel through which this type of dissatisfaction can be communicated through the grievance procedures. So there are some procedures. You have to first inform to your supervisors, then supervisor will in turns give it to his seniors, and it will come to the HR. This is the process. And finally, if they feel it is a really the depth of the gravity of the grievances, how complaints are where, and accordingly they can call, they can have a meeting and understand the things. If it is a minor nature, just bench lines, it's not any so much gravity, so then by the discussion it can be solved. Otherwise, some different process are there. So a grievance procedure provides the avenue and an opportunity to the employee to give vent to his or her grievances. So the procedure itself is given, okay, you tell me what is your problem. You have to listen carefully, is what are the grievances is there, what is his complaint. So that is the one in the procedure should be there. Let him say, let him raise his point or voices, whatever this, that he cannot say no, we cannot say like this. So allow him to speak something about, let him vent something. Then the judgment will be very easy to take. So the dilemma most managers face in whether the and how far they should encourage or discourage the grievances. That is the main thing, because it is here actually some of the managers' capacity is behavioral attitudes and how best way he can tackle the things so that the grievances should not arise, because it is not advisable. So employees give a complaint to the his things. So as a manager, he has a interface of both the things and see what is happening. So that's why the behavioral role is very important here actually itself. So then he can deal very better with. So employees and the expressing the grievances means ignoring the grievances. So discouraging the employees from the expressing the grievances means you are ignoring the grievances. So don't discourage the things, allow him to say what are the things, then only you can have solve the things. So when they simmer and burst, so management find it beyond their capacity to deal with them adequately, because if you are not allowing to vent something time to time, or let him or her realize how much the grievances or complaint is justified. So if not allowing the things, one fine day it may burst. So that time it is uncontrollable. I mean, you cannot control the things. So thus it is important to have a grievance procedure to process the grievances. Now discover of the grievances. The discover of the grievances, here again some of the grip boxes, some suggestion box or something, where the facility to file the anonymous complaint. What are the complaints? You can put it there. So about the various causes of your discontent or the dissatisfactions in the organizations, you can put there. So it is a different form of suggestions suggestion schemes system that may be a work in a company. So in this case, your anonymity is assured and there is no reward or punishment. So that case, sometimes it is by virtue of the general natures. If I complain, maybe I will not get the promotions. If I complain something against my boss or against the systems, maybe I will be figured out, maybe I will be tortured in other way, I may be transferred. So that type of things are coming always in the mind. So that's why sometimes keep silence sometimes, but silence is not a good thing. One fine day it may be create a problem. So managers or the systems or the procedures, HR policies should give some space or assure them, yes, your complaint will be well justified, will be scrutinized, and for that you will not be punished. So that type of assurance is also required. So does limit purpose to let the management know what the employee feel without fear of the victimizations. Now open door policy. So most organizations speech open door policy, but do not practice it. The policy is good and democratic, but usually ineffective, and at time your counterproductive. So organizations would do well to have a grievance procedure. So if a grievance procedure exists, so open door policy becomes your redundant. Now exist interview, that is also very important. Most of the private companies they are doing to reduce the grievance complaints like this. Employees usually quit organizations due to dissatisfactions or for better prospects of elsewhere. So it requires certain skill to get to know the real reasons for leaving the jobs. Basically, it is people are not saying all these things. No, I have get a good job. That's why I am giving these organizations. Maybe he is not giving because he thinking I'm now leaving these organizations. Why should I say all these things? But from the grievance cells, as the HR, those who are exist, I mean, those are already left the organizations. Over the phone, something you can inquire after the hours. What is the reason behind it? Why you have leave these organizations? Any causes or any dissatisfaction? Your boss and your relationship is was good or not? Okay, you are leaving the organizations. Okay, it is up to you. But what is the? So this is the way you can collect the feedback, collect the inputs of the things. So then you can have a put all these things, put together all these things to make a procedure, good procedures for these things. So that's why the exist interview sometimes is important. What the level of dissatisfactions, or you can identify the things. You can data, basically the data, you can take the data for these things. Now other channels, the group meetings, through these group meetings also sometimes if you have a arrange some of the meetings, open meetings or group meetings, definitely somebody will bend some things. They have to discuss all these things because there is no pressure, work pressure, some things. So periodically that interview with the employees and your collective bargaining process, bargaining sessions you can say, that through these sessions you can take the inputs, what are the things, the data you have to collect it, and some of the other channels through which can we have a information about the employees' discontent and the disability. So there are so many channels you have to explore. Through this way you can collect the data for their dissatisfaction levels. So before you take the any decisions. So each channel is referred to have the serves the purpose in a different way. So using more than the channels is desirable because it may not be possible to get the informations about all type of dissatisfactions from the one channel, because through this only one channel you may not be getting all these things. So that's why you have the different channels are required. Interview process, seminar, conduct, cultural programs, picnic. There's so many ways are there. There you can get lot of things. Then when a complaint not a grievance, because all the time the complaints it may not be a grievance only. So type of complaints you have to see, the personal troubles and requests for advice. Facing some problems, so you are just seek of the advice on this. It is not a grievance, it is just some sort of complaint. So you will often find that people want to confine you. Treat them sympathetically, try to help them, and keep confidences strictly to yourselves. Another complaint about your fellow workers. this needs a lot of track, diplomacy or the moral authority of your part. Then your complaints about the government agencies and the local bodies. The complaints against the management not covered by the not covered by the contract. So there may be cases you have to face which do not involve an injustice. So do not violate the past practices and are not covered. Now, when a complaint is not again the another thing, the borderline cases, that is very interesting, because borderline cases means you should seek the advice from the chief steward of the grievances committee or your local business representative before taking this step, up as your grievances. Report back to the personal, the person complaining as soon as possible, explaining what you are doing and why. Because sometimes due to emotions, maybe somebody has complained. Maybe it is not by the time maybe it has vanished because already has thrown some of the complaint. But by the pass of time, he may be forget, or maybe sometimes his mind is compromised to some things. So that is, you have to see the borderline cases. It may be by the discussion only you can solve it. And you can tell him, yours, please withdraw your complaints, or he have also satisfy someone. By the discussion only he has satisfied. It not go beyond the things. So you have to identify which are the borderline cases. Maybe the simple discussion is sufficient. So complaints against the union, maybe it is sometimes difficult. So it is up to you explain your complainer what is his or her rights under the rules and the constitutions of the local and the international unions. So again, there are any type of complaints, first things some discussions are required. So before, that is a procedure actually. Maybe half of the complaints may be solved there itself. Now, grievance may fall into certain broad categories such as wages, incentives, work assignments, complaints, and about the job satisfaction. It may be the area. It has happened because sometimes the wages are not at par with the living standards, or not at par with the other companies, or may not be as per the not following the government rules as per the labor code, what they have defined, this much amount is required. Maybe company is not giving by virtue of any reasons. So that case you can raise a complaint. So that is also interpretations of the rules. Sometimes whatever the rules are there, the different in meaning, not understanding clearly, interpreting in different ways, the complaint are there. So you have to see different in the time of policy making, what we are writing the things, it is understandable or not, acceptable by the unions and the employees or not. By the discussion only you have to see, so that there should not be any ambiguities, especially in the language problems. Transfer, seniority, promotions, everything are to be defined in such a way so that any complaints are coming, you can justify, yes, that is your policy. After 7 years or 5 years, transfer will be there. So there you cannot complain the things, because by virtue of when you are falling in 7 years, you have to transfer it. So that type of policy has to be made accordingly. Supervision, discipline, then favorisms, victimizations, interpolation relations, all are the area to be seen. Violation of the term of collective agreements. unfair, then the labor practices, then your and wrongful extractions of the work, all are the certain broad categories. Dissatisfaction, complaint and grievances, you can see there. According to the figures and the mayors, the three terms is given: the dissatisfaction, complaint and grievances. It indicates the various form of the stages of the employee's dissatisfactions. So dissatisfactions is anything that disturbs and the employees, whether or not it is a, like in the expresses is unrest in the words. The grievances is more formal in character than a complaint. So while a complaint that be either oral or the written, so grievance can be oral or can be written. A grievance is always a basically your writing. So complaint is, it can be a oral can written, but grievance always should be in a writing. So if the difference is coming in the questions, you have to write accordingly. Then some of the causes of the grievances, that is your grievances mostly arise out of the following, that is your reasons. There is one of the concerning wages, because the wage divisions are not good, that's way. Sometimes the supervision is not at par, and working conditions are not good, bargaining, collective bargaining, and your last is management policies are not acceptable due to that. Some diagrams are there, some of the grievance redressal procedures are explained, what the way the procedures should be there. Some, if it is different level of things, the first step is the frontline supervisors, and then accordingly the union representatives, some of the your aggravated your employees, and your, if finally in the last you see the your arbitration, if it is not solution in the top level management and the your top level unions are there. So first of all you try the interaction with the between the different levels. If it is solved, very good, otherwise you have to go for the arbitration. In the case of supplier or vendor's case, sometimes you have to go for the your arbitration cases. Now some of the industrial dispute act is there. Again it is for the some of the grievance process handling. So some act is there. The Industrial Disputes Act 1947. That there shall be a grievance settlement authority should be there, and it is, if it is more than 50 or more than 50 employees, then definitely you should have departments. I think the grievance cell department should be there. They can handle it. And then Factory Act is 1948. Something has written there. Then the model of the your grievance procedures, the National Commissions of the Labour has suggested a model grievance your procedures which would ensure a speedy settlement of the grievances. If any grievances coming, then the committee can decide, and so that very speedily you can solve all the problems. So there are some models are given, different models are given for the how to different conflict levels or discipline to measure the things. So different steps are there, so that there are some of your agreement employees, then departmental representatives, and head of the department, then grievance committees, chief executives, and voluntary arbitrations. There are so many steps are given. Now industrial relations, some code is there, 2020. There is, as per the codifications, the industrial relations code are there, and you have to maintain the things, adopted by the parliament, and your assented by the president of the India, but not the implementation till that March 2020. Proposes some following some procedures. Every industrial your establishments employing 20 or more workers shall have one or more grievance redressal committee for resolution of the dispute arises out of the your individuals' grievances. Then your grievances redressal committee shall consist of the equal number of member of the representative of the employer and the workers to the chosen in such a manner as they prescribed. Then the chairperson of the grievance redressal committee shall be selected from among the persons of the representing the employer and the workers alternatively on rational basis. Some of the industrial rules are just different code you have to maintain. You can say the rules basically. The total number of the members are redressal there, and your application of the respect your any dispute refer to subsections, and it may be filed before the grievance redressal committee by any aggregate workers in such manners as may be prescribed within 1 year from the date of which the causes of action or such dispute arises. If anything is 1 year, within 1 year you have to raise these problems. So, grievance redressal committee may complete its procedures, and within the 30 days commitment time, within the 30 days you have to solve it with the receipt of the application under the section 5. So, everything are codified, different sections is written there, how many times are there, time frame, everything. Now, the decisions of the grievances redressal committee on any your application of the filed under the section 5 shall be made on the basis of the majority view of the committee, and your provided more than half of the members representatives and the workers have agreed to such decisions, otherwise it shall be it shall be deemed that no decisions could be arrived by the committee. So, there are so many rules and regulations are affected. The worker who is aggravated by the decision of your grievances, the redressal committee, or whose the grievances is not resolved in the said committee within the period, some of the specified period, then as per the section 6, subsection 6, you may within a period of 60 days from the date of the your date of the grievances redressal committee, or from date of the which of the period of the specific. Now, grievances resolution approaches. So, whether the organizations should have a grievance mechanism or at all, so that things are required. Then whether it should be formal or structured or freewheeling informal. Then your some level or multi-level, single level or multi-levels, what type of levels, whether the unilateral or is a particular, whether it is a biparty or triparties, that different approaches are given. Now, coming to some of the discipline. Now, discipline grievances, some of the principles of the grievances for the good grievance procedures. The ideal grievance procedure should rest on the following principles, some of the principles, so that you can have a better grievances. So, it should be prompt and well defined, simple and time bound. First things, we are now talking about the good grievances procedures, some of the principles. It should be facilitated to the settlement at the lowest level of the ladder as per as your practicable. Then another principle is it should be in conformity with the existing legislations. Then it should be permit active involvement of the union and the stage of formulating the grievance procedures and also its implementations. Problem is most of the industrials, they are facing a problems when this type of policies or guidelines are preparing, that time the active participation from the unions are very less. They are reluctant to participate on all these issues. They are always thinking management are making this procedure as per their own. So that's why you have to wait. As a company, you try to involve more and more the unions. Maybe 1 or 2 meetings or 3 meetings are required. So take their opinions, take their ideas, take their assurance and acceptance. Once they are accepted before making the procedure or something, then definitely 50% problems will be resolved, because union is also a part of parcel of this policy making process. So they cannot even cry or something, they cannot disturb or distract it anything. So that's why the involvement is very important. It should be gain a confidence of the employees at large. What about the policy or guidelines? It should give a confidence of the employees. It should promote a healthy industrial relations climate. Idea is so that in future you cannot say 100% the grievance will not be there. It will be there, complaint, grievance will be there. This is human nature, behavioral patterns. So at least reduce, it will be reduced, or if any occurs, immediately it can be solved. So procedure should be very rigid, robust, truthfulness has to be there and healthy. Well planned and administered, the grievance procedure has the following some of the advantages. It offers an opportunity to employees to proceed their grievances in a dignified manner. It satisfies the employees' need for the self-expressions. Then it improves the man management skills of the managers and the various hierarchical levels by building up the nature and behaviors. It helps the management to locate the problem areas in the union management relations and to anticipate the union demands. So these all are the positive areas, positive sides, or we can say the advantage. Now, role of a human resource department. What is the role? The role of a human person's department is to devise a sound grievance procedures, which could serve as your active, effective upward communications channel. Number 2, to advise the line managers about the importance of a sound grievance handling systems and its implementations. To train the supervisory personnels in interviewing and counseling skills. That is all of the role of a HR. To implement the promptly and decisions taken by the grievance committee, and to maintain the effective and close relations with all the concerns, and to maintain the records of the activities of the grievance committee, such as the detail of the meetings held or whatever actions taken and implementations. So we have to maintain all these things, database. To review the procedure and the necessary to modify the existing procedures for the suit the changing circumstances. Then to follow up the individual causes of the grievances, settle and identify their affections, the employees concerned, as well as on the other employees of the organizations. Then there are so many handling things are there. First things here, it should be avoid the handling grievances, careful attentions, and listening. Listening is an essential features of the grievance handling. When you are handling, definitely you have to listening the to victimized or to complainer, I mean who has the complaining the things. Facts should be separated from the opinions and the impressions. The management representative should be aware the decision taken on a seamlessly and a seeming simple grievances of the individual employees. This might have an organizational wide or some of the repercussions and set a precedent which cannot be departed from the letter. It should not be any further circulated. So there should be a consistency policy, and it should be ensured that as per the practicable decisions and taken by the joint, the objective of the grievance procedure is to resolve the disagreement between the employee and the organizations. Follow-up is also definitely is necessary to determine the whether the grievance at the proceeds. Then discipline are one of the aspects. Discipline is very much the key of the success, as we say. The discipline refers to the conditions in the organizations where the employee conduct themselves in accordance with the organization rules and regulations, and some standards will be there and supposed to follow everybody. What are the objectives? Objectives for the discipline issues like these disciplinary issues arise when there is a non-conformity to formal and the informal rules of the regulations of the organizations. Then forms of the indisciplines, that is your basically different form of discipline, absenteeisms, then your insubordinations, violation of the rules, gambling, incompetence, damage to machine or the properties, dishonesty, and other form of the disloyalty lead to industrial discipline. And this is some of the actions. So it is instituted by the positive discipline among the subordinate, and the manager must ensure that the rule and the regulations are reasonable, legitimate, and clear. Then subordinates are involved in framing the rules and regulations so that they willingly accept them. If you involve the subordinates during the making of these disciplinary actions or all these things, then definitely they have to agree and do these things. Prior to clear the notice, give the consequences of the breaking rules. So there is some consistency and the uniformity of the punishment. Some their human personality is treated with dignity. Then he or she is a manager or should be high standards. So where the dignity is also to be maintained. Disciplinary actions, there are preventive discipline, the corrective discipline, the red hot and stop rules, and progressive discipline. Some of the action, the charge sheet, suppose you are issuing something, the charge sheet means a written statements of the certain your allegations upon the offender to communicate that what is done and law breaking and not acceptable as per the code of the conduct. Then domestic inquiry, then your awarding the punishment by the disciplinary authority and show cause notice. There are so many steps are there. Suspensions are there. Suspension means your prohibiting the employees from the performing the duties. You have to suspend it. You cannot come in the office and do your jobs. Then assign to him or her withholding the wages, some of the salary it will be withheld, and so long as the prohibition the committee's decisions you have to away from these things. So this then finally discharge is given and the retrenchment and the layoff, the different ultimate steps. There are some of the authorized signatories there. So there is some of the format is given, notification or notice some things. So model of the form of the general chart sheet sample format is given. Some date should be there, and so and so name, and it should be a report. Somebody against what is the date, and date should be there. And then time you have involved the misconduct, that some factual facts should be there, and then the report should be like this way. This is some format is there. According to you have to give a proper explanations. You have to give us some chance to explain the things, and accordingly you have to have a proper explanations for the misconduct, and otherwise action will be taken by the management. So if you fail to submit your explanations, then as required, then it will be assumed that the charges are genuine. So and suitable actions will be taken care. So in the format, in the chart sheet format, you have to give him a chance also to so that he can explain his grievances once. So that's some of the standard format are there. That different type of questions are normally coming. I can just point out some of the questions. In the grievance handling, there are maybe discuss the different steps of the handling, how to handle the grievances. I write down the short notes to the advantage and disadvantage of the your grievances. Then you discuss the grievance. What is the actually grievances? So type of questions are coming like this. Another type in the industrial discipline. What is the industrial discipline? And you explain the process of the discipline, the questions, and write a short note of the disciplines. And short note is a red hot stove, some rule is there. As a short note, a classification of the some of the you have to classify some of the misconduct, and write a short note on the acts of your misconduct. So this is a type of the questions I have discussed. There are two units. First unit is grievances. I have discussed some of the, I have touched up some of the topics and what type of questions. And now the second unit number 14, this is your discipline, and where the type of disciplines, what the way the chart sheet, complaint, all these things. And finally some of the typical type of questions are normally coming in the exams. So okay, I think in this way I can now conclude my session right now. So look forward for the next sessions. Thank you.